In the last video, the Chamber of Time gave me the quest of beating Blood. In all of Geometry Dash, Blood is the most legendary extreme demon. I was going to need to beat Blood to continue my journey to become a transcendent dasher. Here am I, face to face with this behemoth of a level. It's time to beat Blood. But what even is Bloodbath? Bloodbath is the most popular level in all of Geometry Dash, first created during early 2015. It was later revealed on June 2nd, 2015. Eventually, Riot, who was the best player at the time, was able to verify the level on August 12th, 2015, making it easily the hardest level at its time. There's more details I could share, like it being part of the Apocalyptic Trilogy, but who cares? So now you know as much as I do about this level. I mean, sure, its name is kinda scary, but how hard could it possibly be? Oh my dear God! Bloodbath is currently rated as a top 800 extreme demon. My hardest so far is Cataclysm, which is around top 1400. In terms of rating alone, this level is nearly twice as hard. I decided that the best course of action was to get some advice from the Chamber of Time. Oh Chamber of Time, I require knowledge from you who has lived through many eons. Please tell me the secrets on beating Bloodbath.
O young Dasher, the secrets to the art of Bloodbath is of extreme secrecy. You will need to pay a costly price.
I am prepared to pay whatever is needed to learn the secrets.
Listen closely, O young one, for I will not repeat myself. You must first have a device to search up YouTube. You will click the search bar. Now type in this secret code.
Yes, what is it?
How to beat Bloodbath. This is an ancient secret that has been passed down for many thousands of years. Now I have shared the secret to you. Use it wisely, O young Dasher.
What the fuck? I began my journey, and after crossing many dimensions and portals, I've arrived at the gates of Bloodbath. But I was not afraid as I listened to the Chamber of Time's advice and watched the entire video. As an added bonus, I don't remember a single thing out of this 25-minute long video. So logically speaking, I started the level for the first time anyways. I got an insane first attempt of 2%. This level was easy. After 10 more minutes of practice deaths, I got 7%. So if I do the math correctly,
this should only take you about 142 minutes more. Keep going.
Then I realized that I was being delusional and did a practice mode run instead. Bloodbath is divided into a total of 11 distinct sections. The first section, created by Minuetto, spans from 0% all the way up to 10% of Bloodbath. This includes the beginning ship and ball section. The second section is called Windmill, a relatively difficult ship section that requires good control and dexterity. It also includes this cool ball gameplay that for some reason just does not have the music synced with the clicks, which really upsets me. This spans from 10% to 24% of the level. After this comes Michigan, arguably the hardest section in all of Bloodbath, having these tight jumps, straight fly, tighter ball gaps, this insane UFO, and this decently difficult wave part. This spans from 24% to 32% of the level. From here is Evasion section, spanning 32 to 42% of the level. It is definitely not easy, but it's not too difficult. Although just from this practice section, these UFO timings were going to be very chokeable. Now we're doing Crack in-game, which is also considered the hardest part in Bloodbath, relative to Michigan, having super tight ship gameplay that was way above what I've ever done in Cataclysm. This covers 42 to 54% of the level. You get a little bit of a rest import with this much easier UFO and ball section into this cool drop, made by A Sonic Man. It extends from 54% all the way up to 70% of the level. After this we come to Esther's UFO and ship section. Little did I know, but this section was going to ruin my life. It spans from 70% to 80% of the level. After this is Havoc section, spanning 80 to 88%. It's one of the more easier sections of the level, but these ball timings are chokeable. Gyro and ship section comes right after this, one of the biggest choke points in the entire level, having this extremely difficult ship timing and this insanely chokeable orb timing at 92%. This spans from 88 to 92% of the level. The second to last section, made by G-Boards, has some of the best aesthetics, by far one of the coolest sections in the entire level. This is when the true nerve test begins. It's a very consistent section when practiced, but has choke points scattered everywhere. And needless to say, I know a couple of things when it comes to choking at the end. This covers 93% to 98% of the level. And finally, the final 2% of the level, created by Riot, has this simple triple spike clip to remind you on how far you have come as a Geometry Dash player. Since Stereo Madness, you have finally made it to the end of Bloodbath. Or forget about all of that and do this frame perfect clip called the Michigan round. Alright, that was simple enough. It only took me 512 attempts to complete. But actually, I was using speed hacks for most of this run because it was too difficult for me the second time. And you might be be asking what I mean by the second time. Well, you see, earlier I did a practice run, but for some reason I still don't remember why, but I stopped at 98%. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Cube Su, the art of dashing. By purposely showing Bloodbath that I needed multiple tries to complete a practice run attempt, and by using speed hacks, it would naturally lower its guard down, making it easier for me to beat this level. Now with its backlord, I inserted my key and I was able to unlock its deepest secrets and acquire myself a copy of the level. I decided to slowly add start pirouettes on different sections when I felt ready to begin practice on it. I wanted to complete a run of 93 to 100%. I followed the tutorial as closely as possible. Eventually, I was able to get 93 to 100% pretty quickly. I decided to add another start position to get a run of 88 to 100%. Using my understanding and skill from Cataclysm, I slowly progressed from slower to faster speed. I made sure not to spam my clicks since I wanted to develop a click pattern as I progress in speed. This will make it easier for me to get consistent at the level. Soon enough, I was able to get a run of 88 to 100%. I did a few more runs of 88 to 100 and I ended off my day. My goals were to get 80 to 100%. I wanted to take things slow and get as many runs as I could to be as consistent as possible. When I get into the more difficult sections, I didn't want to die and get burnt out after making through most of the level's difficulty and end up dying on the easiest click possible. This will keep me motivated by stroking my ego, making me believe that I'm making progress, but in actuality, I've been repeating the same section for over 4 hours. So remember guys, Geometry Dash is just a test to see how long you can trick your brain into playing the same level for the next 2 years. The genre for Geometry Dash is torture. After getting some 80 to 100% runs, I decided to also practice the beginning of the level as it would be good to sandwich this level evenly from top to bottom. After some practice on the different sections of the first 20% of the level, I did some runs from 0% and soon enough got 11%. On day 3, I began practice on Esther's section. The beginning UFO was not so difficult once I got the click pattern down. However, the ship section was by far the hardest thing I've ever done so far. It is very easy to die due to these orb timings and having to quickly stabilize and straight fly and then click the orbs around the middle. But after a few hours, I was able to crack it down with speed hacks and eventually at normal speed, I was able to get a run of 70 to 100%. I did a few more practice runs for a million and then ended off my day. On day 4, I began practice on a Sonic's Man section. That sounds gay. It was definitely a drop from Esther's part from yesterday. My goal was to try and get a run of 53 to 100%. After a couple of hours of practice, I was able to understand the click pattern for a Sonic's Man section. However, it was quite challenging for me to connect this part all the way to the end. I would end up dying to Esther's section basically every time. Or in classic Elite style, choke on the most unchokeable click like a dumbass. On day 5, I decided to start streaming my progress. I had my stream goal set to 70 and 54 to 100%. I also downloaded different mods to help keep track of my different statistics. Being sidetracked by chat, I would complete the first jump in Heliopolis. With this buff, I was able to get 70 to 100% relatively easily and choked at 53 to 100% run by dying at 95%, but it was fine as I was able to get 53 to 100% soon enough. Doing some runs from 0, I was able to get a new best of 14%, and later did another run of 53 to 100% and then off my stream. On day 6, I was feeling a bit more ambitious. I wanted to get multiple connected runs of the entire level. My goals were to complete Michigan, Evasion, and Crack. I would also try to get a new best, hopefully up to 24%. Completing this would give me Bloodbath in 7 runs total. Surprisingly, I was able to get Michigan, Evasion, and Crack them pretty fast. It seems like I'm going to need to change my hit list now. After this, I started some runs from 0%. New best after best. I was able to get 22%. I just needed 2% more to achieve my goal. And near the end of the stream, I was able to get 27% as a new best. Now I have Bloodbath in 7 runs. On day 7, I wanted to get a run of 41 to 100%. It wasn't going to be easy. However, there was a slight problem. Due to my age, I was very inexperienced with Crack. But hopefully by the end of today, I would be more accustomed to it. Alright chat, first time doing Crack. In-game. And finally, after a few hours, I was able to get a run of 41 to 100%. No! Yeah, so unfortunately, I ended up dying near the end. But hey, at least I got a run of 32 to 60%. I now have Bloodbath in 4 runs. The genre for Geometry Dash is torture. On day 8, I was feeling real good. I continued my grind of 41 to 100%, although I would end up dying at the end just like yesterday. Then I realized that the solution was simple. I just needed to do more crack in-game. Hell no! For legal reasons, this is sugar. Never do drugs, kids. Nothing much happened on this day. However, on day 9, I was finally able to get a full run of 41 to 100%. Maybe I don't need to use performance-enhancing substances. Days 10 to 11 weren't very special. However, I began practice on Michigan. Also, someone would donate me $50 if I beat it by day 20. Bet. On day 12, I began my third Bloodbath stream. Something I was able to figure out thanks to a comment on one of my shorts was to hold and only click after the blue jump pad. This made me much more consistent in this beginning boss section. With this new consistency, I was able to get 30%. Not long after this, I was also able to get 32%. Another side quest I was doing was to reach cardiac arrest live on stream with a new heart rate best of 160. However, my main goal was to try and get above 40%. This would mean that I would have Bloodbath in 2 runs. Unfortunately, I ended up dying at 39%, barely missing my goal. But being clean of enhancing substances, I was able to lock in, getting 42%. On day 13, I was locked in. I was able to get 43% early on into the stream. I stayed focused as I wanted to get 50% this stream. Fail after fail, I was inching closer, but then it finally clicked. I was able to slip into Bloodbath, maneuver around its crack, and finally land a new best of 52%. I would come close a few more times to beating 52%, but ultimately at the end I would fail all of them. It would be until next week that I would be able to stream. Due to juggling my real life job, I wouldn't be able to stream until my next day off. However, I needed to keep my consistency going, and for the next 6 days I would practice as much as possible. Something that I also realized was that Invasion was a spot that I choked on a lot. I decided to try and get a run of 32 to 100%, and surprisingly I was able to do it. Day 15 was extremely disappointing. I decided to take a day off as resting is also part of training. On day 19, I booted up my 5th stream, and one thing immediately stuck out. My chat is full of gooners! Every time I would get far into the level, instead of the normal go, they would be cooking up some of the most diabolical messages I've ever seen. But hey, maybe Bloodbath was the gooners we made along the way. With the energy and freakiness coming out of my chat, it boosted my power level, and with this, I was able to get a new best. I forgot to click! I'm a dumbass! So I ended up dying on 52% again. But that's okay! I kept going and eventually I was able to get a new best of— Oh, shit! I think I realized what the problem was. The solution was simple. I would need to use the energy of an entire human being. Let me explain. I would experiment by dedicating 5 attempts to different viewers in my chat. Maybe using their spiritual energy would help me beat this level. And when the name Jaden echoed across the sky, I was able to get 61%. Although it was a pretty sad death due to Asonic's Man section being relatively easy, I was still excited nonetheless. 5 hours into the stream and I got another 52%, continuing the curse. Even worse was a 58% fail. I wanted to give up and end stream, but as an aspiring dasher, giving up like this was not an option. Gritting my teeth, I kept pushing forward, and my wishes would eventually come true as I got 71% as a new best. I am now 1 step closer to a heart attack. On day 20, I was getting a lot of crack attempts within the first hour. This was due to me being able to consistently pass Vermilion. I didn't talk much about this section, but surprisingly, it took me over 20 days to get consistent with it. It was mainly due to this part right here where you need to stabilize quickly and glide smoothly and dodge the spike. It's not difficult, but developing that click pattern to be the same with each attempt was the hard part. Michigan has become very consistent for me now as well. My only problems would be my nerves. And not even 1 hour into the stream, I was able to pass Asonic's Man section and make it into Esther's UFO. Then I got 75%. Although I did miss my stream's heart rate goal by 1. Oh well, I guess no heart attack yet. 2 hours into the stream and I unfortunately got another 75% fail. I would continue to get many more crack in Asonic Man's attempts and even another Esther's attempt, but I would end up failing to all of them. At least I saw Vortrox Speed Cycle X with my chat. After streaming for over 6 hours, I ended my stream and took a well-needed rest as I was losing my mind during the 5-hour mark. You told me, Bloodbath, why are you doing this to me? On day 21, I warmed up a bit and started the Bloodbath grind. And on the second attempt of the stream, I was already past Michigan, past Evasion, past Crack and Asonics Man section. And I would get to Esther's UFO and then die at 71%. I wasn't fully prepared to get here. I got caught off guard, and due to this my nerves were firing like crazy. Cardiac arrest looks doable. On attempt 5 of the stream, I got to Crack again. My consistency was at its best. 1 hour in and I had more than 20 Michigan attempts and over 5 Crack attempts. I knew my chances of beating this level was high. Then I felt my balls tingle. Less than 2 hours into the stream and I made it to Esther's UFO again and finally passed it. I was so close to ending this. I would continue to get many more Crack, Esters, and even a Havoc attempt, but none of them would surpass 88%. I thought to myself, this game, Geometry Dash, I started it due to a streamer, but here am I on Bloodbath. It feels weird. I've dedicated so much of my time for this game, and even with the pain that comes from these types of failures, it doesn't scare me a bit. It's been nearly a month since I started playing Bloodbath. I started playing this game around Christmas 2025. In less than 8 months, I can now confidently come face to face with this monstrous level. Days 21 to 25 was just practice, repetition, focus, and determination. I began my 8th stream and I wasn't going to end it until I have beaten this level. Nearly 80 hours of practice have went into this level, and it was showing. Michigan, Evasion, Crack. Within the first hour of the stream, I made it to Esther's UFO, my arch nemesis. But at this point in time, I was too powerful for it. And finally, after tens of hours, I have finally beaten. 89%. I got a new best, but it was by 1%. But it's fine. I still had plenty of strength to continue smashing my keys. After a 74% fail, my next Esther attempt was going to take me further.
As the young dasher presses each key, his eyes locked on his trusted partner. After devastating hardships, he would inevitably succumb to the blade of Bloodbath.
No! What the
As the lead forced out his sorrows, he couldn't help but feel devastation. Will this be the end of the young dasher's journey? No. He who has risen from the depths, he who has overcome so many hardships and tribulations, giving up was unimaginable for this young dasher. I, who gave my blessing to this young one, he shall achieve greatness.
Bloodbath is the most legendary extreme demon. This level has broken me more than any other level, but the human spirit is indomitable. You can do anything in life if you just don't. Never. Without fail. Don't give up.
Yes! 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 Oh my god! We did it! You guys were here! Oh my god!
With a final attempt count of 29,206, I have finally beaten Bloodbath. Now it's time to spin the wheel.
The first wheel spin time extreme is out! Yes! Like this? Oh, please, please, no! Congregation, yes! Yes! Zodiac is gone!
No way! As I sat looking at the final 2 options, one a top 500 extreme demon, and the other a top 360 extreme demon.
Yeah!